Hey, Happy New Year, everyone. Glad you're joining me today. You know that phrase, the good, the bad, and the ugly? How many believe that's a pretty good description of 2023? In fact, one article I read suggested that while 2023 did in fact have a lot of good in it, the average person today believes that the bad and the ugly far outweighed the good. How about you? Do you agree with that assessment? So what I want to do today is just a little different for a New Year sermon, in that I want to make two statements, give you two truths that are not necessarily connected, that don't necessarily go together, but they are key and crucial to us nonetheless, especially as we anticipate this new year, a year that's hopefully will be filled with the good. Here's the first statement for you. Jesus loves you even if you break every single New Year resolution you make. Isn't that good? During this time of year, many of us are hoping for a fresh start, a restart, right? And because of that, out come the resolutions. How many of you made resolutions last year as the year began, and how many of you broke a few or all of those resolutions by, let's say, January 15th? However, it's going to be different this year, isn't it? Yes, sir, I'm turning over a new leaf. I'm serious this time. I'm really going to try this time. I'm going to give it my all, not going to quit. This year, I'm going to do life right. So we will resolve. We resolve to quit bad habits, start some good habits, like working out and eating better, like wasting less time, being more disciplined and intentional. Other people will resolve to be better husbands and wives, better fathers and mothers, sons and daughters, right? And we intend to pray more, don't we, as Christians? We intend to serve more, to plan more, to read more, to memorize more Bible verses or whatever. In other words, we're going to finally be all that we can be, no more messing around. Do you relate to any of those resolutions? Well, I would say to you, try, seriously. Try to fulfill all those resolutions and more. And hopefully you might make some great strides this year. I'm hoping to myself. However, don't be surprised or devastated if a year from now you realize that you've fallen short once again. But take heart. You're not alone in that. In fact, most people today are in the very same boat. We try and fail. We fail and then try. Then we succeed only to fail at some point down the road. It's the old 2 steps forward and 1 step back, isn't it? But in the midst of all that, here's the truth. And for what I'm most deeply grateful, it is that God's love for me, His approval of me, His commitment to me is not dependent on my success and my resolve. It is dependent, rather, on Christ's success and resolve in me. You see, the gospel is the good news, announcing Christ's infallible devotion to us, in spite of our lack of devotion to Him. The gospel is not a command for us to hang on to Jesus. Rather, it's a promise that no matter how weak and unsuccessful our faith and efforts may be, God is always holding on to us. It's like that children's song, I am weak and He is strong. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. The Bible tells me so, right? Now listen, while my love for Jesus may at times fall short of the ideal, Jesus' love for me will never fall short. Therefore, one of the grandest things all of us can resolve to do this year in 2024 is just to remember that. Then the second truth for the new year. Don't put Jesus first this year. Now, before you think I've lost my mind on my religion, let me explain that statement. Whether we call them resolutions or not, most of us are going through a similar process right now of setting and resetting priorities, which means that if you are a goal-oriented person, you absolutely love this time of year, don't you? And here's what it usually looks like. We start by putting Jesus at the top, then our family, then maybe our career, and so on. So look on the screen. Our priorities look something like this. Jesus, God, number 1. Family, number 2. Career, number 3. Now, that all looks good, doesn't it, on paper? However, I've found that this isn't very effective when you get down to the actual grind of everyday life. For example, what does it mean to put Jesus before my family? Do I ignore my family to spend time with Jesus? Or with my career? Do we stop working to put Jesus first? And I know that interpretation is somewhat exaggerated, but don't miss the essential problem with that kind of approach, which is this. It segregates the different priorities of our life. And the result is that we end up removing Jesus, at least subconsciously, from where we spend the majority of our time and put him on an island all by himself. The biggest island, the first island maybe, but an island nonetheless. I don't think this is the way it was ever supposed to work. Look at this in Colossians 1, verse 16. For in him all things were created, in heaven and earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities, all things have been created through him and for him. He is before all things, and in him hold all things together. And he is the head of the body, the church. He is the beginning and the firstborn among the dead, so that in everything he might have supremacy. For God was pleased to have all his fullness dwell in him, in Jesus. Now, Paul repeatedly says here, Jesus is first, before, and over everything. But it also says that all things were created through and for him. That in him all things hold together. That the goal of the cross was to reconcile everything and everyone to himself. So Jesus is first. He is first in order. He is first in importance. But he is so because he is the center of everything, including our lives. Because whatever and whoever is at the center of your life is that thing that is ultimately first in your life. Agree? So this year, instead of worrying about putting Jesus first in your life, what if you concentrated on making him the center of every area of your life? Not just the top priority in front of every other priority, but the top priority in every priority. Not Jesus, then my family, but Jesus in my family. Not Jesus, then my career, but Jesus in my career. And look, as we adopt that way of thinking and living, we will probably be a lot more successful in actually keeping Jesus at the top of our list. And we'd be much more likely to do an exponentially greater job at accomplishing our goals and maintaining our priorities. So listen, make this the method of setting your priorities and resolutions this year. Then watch for this remarkable difference in your success rate by the end of your year. Hey, listen, I do hope you have a happy new year and a bountiful new year and a blessed new year. If I can help you with anything, if I can answer any question for you, especially about this message today, or if I could pray for you, let me know. Contact me at newdaychurchbrandon.org. There's a place you can drop me a note. You can reach me on by personal message on any social media as well. I'm praying for you that you will have the greatest 2024 that you could imagine. It's all because of Jesus. We'll see you soon. God bless you. Bye-bye.